Hello again. I'm here to tell you two unrelated stories again, and ones that seem reasonably non sequitur, but there you go. And about some of the products that I brought home, again, intending to have made some great art project out of them and not have done, and instead have a bag full of cans and labels. Well, actually, I did decorate a helmet with a lot of labels and stuff, and maybe I'll move on to those at some stage. But this time, I am talking about jelly soda and how I was surprised by the jelly soda. To say that I was it was rather violating being introduced to the jelly soda because I didn't know what the hell it was. So let's talk about jelly soda. This can is obviously not in a great state, and it did come home in my luggage, and it's one of the products that I haven't really found in abundance, or even seen at all, almost at all in Australia. Not sure why. I have come across one coffee jelly product. It was okay. It shook it up. If you shake these things too much, it just turns into mush, which isn't as pleasant. And I did have a coffee one in Japan, which was really nice. The coffee jelly in it was really, really nice. My ability to read Japanese was non-existent at all, and it's now only most katakana. I think I have a whole one kanji, and that's for yen, so I don't think that's very impressive. But my initial thing, look, it's right there. There are chunks of jellies in a drink. But the thing that I found, where is it? The thing that I found, oh yes, quite perplexing was the shake it. And I asked we were staying in an Airbnb at the time, and that will form part of my story in a sec. I asked them, do I shake it? And because it looks like I shake it, and they looked at the label and said, yep, it's cool. And so I shook it, and I was just expecting, like, why am I shaking this thing? Because it was melon soda, and yeah, which is actually another story, and I'll tell in a sec. But I just thought it was melon soda, and why am I shaking melon soda? And I shook it. I was like, okay, and nervously pulled the tab, and it made a little crack, and I'm like, oh, okay. I was expecting it to go fizzing everywhere, and whoom! I didn't scull it, but I took a spirited drink from the can, and there was just then these huge lumps of jelly that I didn't know were going to be there. And it's a little bit surprising when you take a drink and things are in there that you didn't know were in there. And it's a little confronting. A similar thing happened when eating at a restaurant once, and we were getting rounds of sake for the table. My then girlfriend decided that she would clean the table and put a bean sprout into my little sake cup just to clean the table up. And then we decided to get another round, and she forgot it was in there, and we poured sake in there. And when I drank my sake, there was all of a sudden a thing that went down into my mouth and down the back of my throat that I wasn't expecting. So that reminded me of that experience, and that was traumatic. It was funny afterwards, and it's funny now, but at the time it was just like something. Is it a bug or what was it? So yes, I mean, the product itself was really good. Once I was over the surprise, and it really should have alerted me by shaking it, but I didn't know, and the product itself is really good. The other jelly drinks I've had are very interesting. If you don't shake them up too much, and it has instructions of how much to shake. This one says 10 times. Another one said 7 times. I would stick to that and not do it very vigorously. I think what you're trying to do, from my perspective, is break the lump of jelly in there up enough just to form nice big chunks, and that way, if you shake it too vehemently or too much, then it just feels like a really thick liquid, I guess. I don't find it as pleasant. I find the little chunky bits, like when you're eating, if you ever have konjac jelly, if you just bite a bit of konjac jelly off and just chomp it around in your mouth and stuff, not like snot. It's pleasant. It's like eating jelly, but it's all mushy and it's all in liquid. And of course, it tastes like melon. So 2 of the stories, one very quick story that it reminds me of is, and I was reminded of this through social media memories, that my first experience with melon soda was not particularly enjoyable, I guess. Again, it was having to shift my expectations. And again, I was not a person that really partook much of Japanese products before I went. Before going, it's not like I was like really motivated. I was a huge fan of Japan. It was somewhere I wanted to go, but yeah. And I'd eaten at places like the Teppanyaki Inn in Melbourne, which, by the way, is a ridiculously good teppanyaki place. And, you know, little bits and pieces here and there, I guess. But, you know, I was still in the amazement period when I went over, and it was a bit confronting to have melon soda and for it to taste like, in my experience, the only thing I'd had that tasted like that was Midori, the alcohol. I don't know, do you really call Midori alcohol? But the Midori alcohol, which makes sense because that's melon, right? And it was just like, it's like drinking non-alcoholic Midori, but strangely enough, once you had it first, I'm like, yeah, that's really sweet. I love sweet stuff. So yeah, that was really sweet. That was really interesting. It's a different flavor, and now I freaking love melon flavored soft drinks and mochi and things like that. So this was already getting into it. This is like about halfway, almost exactly actually, halfway through our whole big 2-week trip, and I'd already had developed somewhat of a penchant for melon soda, and so that's why I got this one. So yes, it was my evolution to melon soda and starting to like melon soda. The other story it reminds me of is the place that I got it from. The only place to buy anything on this one particular item, on this one particular island, and I will put the name in here because I can't quite remember it. Ashima? It'll be there, and I'll correct myself. The only place to buy anything, and when I say anything, I mean buy. And look, unless you are buying a car off somebody or something, there are no shops on this island. The only place to buy foodstuffs and things were 3 vending machines that were near. There was a little port in the town. Maybe I'll put a map and show you where it is. Doop. Okay, so this is the region of the Inland Sea where the Shimanami Kaido, the cycling trip thing, darts through all of the islands, and off to the side there is Sashima, or Sa Island, and that's where we're talking about, and this is where the vending machines should be, but weren't back in 2014, and now back to the rest of the story. There was only 3 vending machines there. In fact, on almost all of the Airbnb, not that they were running an Airbnb, of course, the Airbnb review things were people reiterating, no, I'm serious, there are no shops, no konbinis, no restaurants, no izakayas, no, I mean, konbinis, I mean, everywhere in Japan there's a konbini. Okay, so maybe some mountain villages and stuff there might not be, but even then there's usually a little general store or something. But this there was no place to buy anything, so you had to make sure to bring your food with you, or mainly snack food and things little, but you know, if you've gotten some onigiri, one of our daily routines was to buy like 2 or 4 onigiri in the morning, and we'd have them in the pack. And look, I mean, it was January, So the weather was, I think it got up to 8 degrees at one stage over our 2 weeks. So it's not like they were going to go off in the top of my pack or anything. So, that was a really good idea. I'd seen that. But also the place that we stayed offered a service where you paid them 1,000 yen and they would give you dinner and breakfast. The breakfast was a very traditional Japanese one, and a lot of people, a lot of gaijin or visitors have done YouTube videos on the Japanese breakfast, but it was a good experience. I quite liked it. Sometimes here we will have a rice-based sort of breakfast and stuff, but not usually the miso and everything. But it I guess for a Westerner going there for the first time, then it's very different breakfast. It's a very savoury breakfast and things. But, I guess not that dissimilar to having a fry-up. I mean, you've got some sort of protein source and you've got eggy things. And, yeah, maybe it's not that different at all. Maybe it just looks different, so we get all excited about it. Dinner was great. And we had it with the family who ran the Airbnb, and it was lovely. But yes, we actually, this was our during our ride, which I think I'll do a video about on the Shimanami Kaido, the ride from, well, I guess it's mainly from Onomichi to Imabari, but you can sort of break up the trip or do it the other way or go different routes or only go hard. You can do all sorts of stuff. But the thing is that this set ride that you can go on where you hire bikes at one end and drop them off at the other end is ridiculously good. And I think it would be a shame not to do it if you had the time and the weather was permitting. It is a ridiculously good way to experience many different facets. You're going through the inland sea, you're island hopping around there. So, it's not huge, big cities. Onomichi's not that small, and especially compared to, like, it's considered a tourist town, but compared to the size of Australian cities and towns and things, it was bloody huge, but it was considered tiny. And Imabari is, a city of its own size. It was a little bit quiet for my liking. I don't know. So you get to go through housing areas, you get to go through industrial areas, you get to ride along the coast, you get to go over bridges. One of the bridges is 4 kilometers long. Who makes a bridge 4 kilometers long? And most of the way towards Imabari, I swear it is uphill the whole way. It's horrid. Well, it's not horrid. It's just a really nasty thing to do on your last little leg of riding into town. You're riding up this bridge for 4 kilometers, but ridiculously good views. So yeah, we did a side trip because every time I was looking for accommodation along this route, this little place would come up on the Airbnb searches, and it looked ridiculously nice. It had it's like it was like a postcard. The front door was a big shoji screen, and it had a cherry blossom, a sakura tree, sort of growing up and over and just hanging over the door. And you're like, yeah, right, I'm sure it looks like that. It looked exactly like that. It was like a 4-room house. Most of the rooms were tatame, and that's where we stayed. We stayed in one of the tatame rooms with the brand pillows. It was just the whole package. Wood-fired bath. It was just great. But the thing is, it was so notable because this island does not have any shops. Now, it is attached to 2 other islands by bridges that do have shops on them, but if you're cycling into town, unless you're driving into town, or you really feel like, I don't know, maybe they've got taxis and stuff, or you really feel like a big ride onto one of the islands, then you're not going to be doing any shopping. And so that was interesting. Yeah, basically that's sort of one of the things I remember that was so notable. And it's I feel like it was such a foreign thing to be so notable, but like, by the way, there are no shops. That, I guess it would be like in Australia saying, hey, by the way, when you go into this town, it does not have a pub. There are no pubs in this town, because that would be ridiculous, because every town has a pub. In fact, I used to go camping in a town that had like a population of 100 and something, and it had 2 pubs. So, yeah, that's Australia, huh? But yeah, so I guess it's quite the comparison, and that there were no convenience stores or anything. And you know, I guess that's my that's my big story about being surprised by melon soda, and it being I just don't think it's a very pleasant experience being surprised by things going and you weren't expecting it, and it's just a bit confronting. But also finding an island that was a reasonable size. It's not tiny island. Finding an island that has no shops on there. But even then, it's almost a funny story about vending machines, isn't it? Because it still did have 3 vending machines. I don't think... I'm not sure if the Google Map thing... Okay, I'm going to put a picture there of where either the vending machines are or should be. Because I think the last time I checked Google Maps, the picture of it was old and there weren't the vending machines there yet. So that was like from years ago. Yes, but it was a very nice place. It would be a great place to relax in. I'm just not sure. You would have to get onto one of the islands, I guess, if you were staying there for multiple days. Or I mean, you know, it wouldn't be that bad to pay them $10 a day, or like actually whatever that becomes, like I think it was like $13 at the time or something. But 1,000 yen every day for dinner and breakfast. I think you could survive on that. But, you know, snacky things. So you could walk down to the vending machines and drink. Have jelly drink. There you go. It's a meal and it's a drink in a can. So that's great. So, I don't know. I think next time I might venture to, at least in some way, address canned coffee. It won't be a review of canned coffee. I'm going to have to... I've got a lot to say about canned coffee, and I don't want to say it all because I'm not going to do a review of it. But I think I'm just going to talk about the phenomenon of canned coffee and the way I experienced it there, and why people that don't like it should just shut up. So that's my opinion. There's nothing not to like. Just don't drink it if you don't want it. I don't know. Yeah, I'm going to talk about that next time. But basically, if you drink Nespresso, you can't slag off on canned coffee. That's my opinion. So there you go. All right. Thanks for listening, and do all the stuff. Click subscribe, and don't ring the bell. I never ring the bell. Don't ring the bell. Like, you don't want emails about ring the bell. I'm sure maybe it does something for the algorithm. I don't know. I don't care. But the subscribe is good, because that's cool. And then you just see it come up in my page, and then you watch the hell out of all the things that come up in your subscription list. And you've done your YouTube for the day. So do that. Click, and the like one. Why not? I mean, if you like it, I guess. Yeah. Cool. All right. Bye.